Shabbat Shalom. Eridu, the first country, the first city, Iraq it's called today, it's that old. It's where the first temple to the first evil god, Enki, is built. And that temple, in the first city, the first human city, not a settlement, a city, had a temple to a pagan god, Enki. And what was it called, the temple? The house of the sweet water. Now if you go back in the Bible, Cain went and built a city after killing his brother. There you have him, Moab. He had not been emptied from vessel to vessel, comfortable in his lees above your head. Now there's a film, I forget what it's called, where it has Michael J. Fox. What's that man's name that does what's that? He's in all the Mission Impossible films. It'll come to me. What's his fucking name again? I don't know why I can't remember. He's in all the Mission Impossible films. But he made another film. And it's about another movie. It's about this big giant parasitic spaceship which is above the earth, and it's draining all the energy of the earth, and that's why the earth is turned into desert. When the earth was created, it was abundant, everything was massive, everything was beautiful. The trees were thousands of feet high, taller than the skyscrapers. The animals were bigger and healthier, the people were bigger and healthier, the whole place was bigger and healthier. What's happened since then? Well, I have a clue. Well, I was given a clue the other day. I was talking to one of my pals who knows a bit about this place here on the hill of the Torah. The hill of Tara here in County Meath. Basically, they used to stand up there, pagans or something, or even if they were pagans, this is the story. There was a lot of mounds here on the where the kings and all lived, but the druids or something used to stand up there, and they'd have gems in a cup, and they'd say a few words, and energy would come up out of the ground, and the gems would flow. But was it a pagan ceremony? I don't know, but I've heard loads of stories about pagan ceremonies in the past, and it seems that whatever the life force or the energy of this planet was back in prehistory, it was much stronger, much more abundant, and much more substantial everywhere. Now the planet is dying. So it says to me that there's something above us sucking the juice out of the planet. It's like sticking an intravenous, it's like something has stuck a needle, a syringe, into the vein of the planet, and is sucking the lifeblood of it out. That's what it's like when you do these pagan ceremonies. But slowly but surely, there's only a finite amount of energy on any planet, on anything. The sun has a finite amount of energy, it doesn't go on forever. The moon has a finite, that's only a certain amount. If it had an endless amount of energy, it would have an infinite amount of energy, but it doesn't. It has a finite amount of energy. And these ceremonies that people are doing to pagan gods, Enki has different names now, but he's the main head of all. He's the one that started off things, and he's Cain as far as I know. He has loads of different names, and he lived he's still alive now actually. He's alive now in something called a lees above our heads. It's in the Bible. Moab had it been at ease from his youth. He had not been emptied from vessel to vessel, neither had he gone into captivity. You know where Satan gets put in jail, that's when he gets into the captivity. He has another name in the Bible later on called the Prince of Tyre. God says to Alexander when he's conquering him, Ezekiel the prophet, he says, go to the son of man, go to the Prince of Tyre, say to him, you have said you are a god, but you are a man. You said you will ascend your throne above the clouds. Now, I just watched some video on YouTube, there's loads of them, you can pick them up, you don't, of some woman with elongated fingers. One guy on the YouTube was saying she was a shape-shifting reptilian. But here's the thing. Has anybody ever seen the Mysterons? Back in the day, there was a thing on 20, 30 years ago called the Mysterons. And a little roundy circle would come in a room and it would go, humans, this is the voice of the Mysterons. And they threaten the humans and tell them to do stuff. But Cain had a superior technology before the flood. UFOs, vermins, all of these things, because he was fallen angels brought down and he taught all of the mixings of metals and all of the way, because God taught them all a little bit. They don't know everything, but they knew a lot. Man started to worship them as gods. So when you read the Vedas, the Hindu text, that's about the war between the fallen angels who love to be treated as gods. And God said that was actually part of, in the book of Enoch. God told Michael to chain up 200 of them angels underneath us and to make them watch their own children kill one another and destroy one another. So that's what you were looking at. That was the punished part of the thing. You will watch your children die. You will watch your children who you love kill one another. So that's what was happening in the Vedas. But to get back to it, your vapour is being stolen by Enki. He comes from the first city called Eridu. Or Iraq, it's called today, but it's Eridu. It's mentioned as the first settlement. So in the Bible, when the first settlement is made, Cain killed his brother with a rock, built a city. So when the first city was built, because that was the first virus. So what a virus does is a computer virus. The Lord says you should not lift a tool upon a stone. If you lift a tool upon a stone and call it an altar to the Lord, you have polluted it along those lines. Neither shall you go up to it by steps. So the first instance or mention of the computer virus. So the earth is the original copy. And how a computer virus works is it attaches itself to the original program, which could be the earth, and it alters it and it changes it and it tries to take it over. And makes it behave differently. It doesn't perform like it used to. So, in saying that, the earth doesn't perform like it used to. Something has taken it over. Instead of being a lush green planet, it's turning into a desert. Something is sucking the juice out of it. So basically, it's Eru. One of these big temples was called a Gujarat. It was a giant Mesopotamian pyramid. So how Enki got to spread his virus around the world is that a couple of city-states started up. Eridu, Mesopotamia, Ur and all of these places. One had conquered the other. And it'd take one, when the other city conquered the other, it would go into the temple, take the god out of the temple, bring it back to their city, and put it in another temple. And they'd have by the end they had loads of different gods all over the place. Persia was probably the last of those old types before the Romans. But Alexander the Great, he conquered Tyre and then went and burned the capital, the historical capital city of Persia, where all the gods were kept, and burned down all the gods and burned all the temples and wrecked the place. You can never find any of that. Alexander built loads of cities in around Afghanistan and all places like that, but you can't find them because Alexander Athelstan Callahan, he wasn't a pagan, like they say. They try and tell you he was a pagan, wasn't. He didn't take a tool upon a stone and build any temples in his cities. For a reason, because they knew that this pagan idolatry and this city and temple building was killing everything and killing you and sucking your juice out of you. So basically, it was retarding you. It's destroying your genes. It's destroying you at a genetic level, generationally. Yeah. If Cain had never turned up right now, you would never age and you will never get old. Your genes will never deplete. 40 genes inside the human genome are knocked off and switched off. That's when we're not fully developed as human beings. Adam was fully developed. He had wings. He was red. He didn't look like me and you. He was a totally. That's why Jesus says those who are in Christ become a new creature. You have to morph into a new creature when those other genes are switched on. When you get your vapour back.